BMW X5?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things actually. Her actual concern was that over the last few months, she's been adding oil more and more frequently. And that's kind of a common thing on some of the BMWs. They get a defective crankcase ventilation valve, which in this instance is, not to get too technical, integrated into the valve cover. And so basically what happens is it's sucking pressure. It gets defective and it starts sucking pressure. Sometimes it'll get so bad that you'll actually hear some customers will come in and they'll have a whistling noise coming from like the rear main seal or the front crank seal. It'll actually be whistling. It's sucking so badly. Now hers is, not bad yet because only 68,000 miles on the car. But as you can see, if you show the video from where the oil filler cap had the suction on it, she thought at first it was a process of her imagination that she's gets the message on her BMW that to fill it up, that it's low of oil, and to bring it in and get it filled up with oil. And at first, they think, well, you're just going over on your oil changes, or you're not doing proper maintenance, or you're not putting the correct oil in it. And if you can actually find some technical service bulletins through BMW, which I find outlandish that you would buy, a really expensive, nice luxury car like that, and they'll tell you that a certain amount of oil consumption is considered normal. Well, so my issue is this. BMW is supposed to be the best, and their technicians are supposed to be the best and factory trained, and I get all that. I'm sure that they know, have specialized tools, and they go to school, and they have great, training and great job package and all that stuff. The problem I have is that the complaint that she has, what they tried to sell her was not going to resolve the complaint that she had. She was going to spend $2,500 to have an oil, a turbo oil feed line replaced. When the feed line is nothing wrong with it, and it's really expensive to replace it. And they were also were recommending to her replacing the oil filter housing gaskets. And those do leak, for sure. Those are both very common things that leak on this engine. But hers wasn't. I think you'll see that also by the video that we took earlier. And here's the kicker. She was gonna have that stuff done if she would have approved it, if she would have just, let them do it. She doesn't need that done. They're not leaking. And she was still going to have oil consumption problems because they weren't going to change the valve cover, which is the culprit, which is causing it the high internal vacuum pressure, and it's causing it to blow oil past the rings and pistons, and it's causing it to use oil. And if that doesn't get resolved, it's going to create bigger problems. In fact, like I said, I've seen, sometimes they get so bad, customer will pull in and it's actually you can hear a whistling sound. So I guess that's my issue with the dealership sometimes is, I know that they mean well and there's good people, and I don't want to generalize it at all, but you buy a BMW and you don't expect to have these kind of, you want really good service and you expect people to be upfront with you, and it's possible that the mechanics or the service advisor, they just don't realize it, or they just don't know yet, or haven't seen it enough. But I would think, since they only work on BMWs, if you want to see something amazing, try a shop that works on all makes and models all day long, every day of the year. They're working on only BMWs that they go to school for, and I get it. That's their gig, but they should know that, number one, those two things were not leaking. There's an actual video that the technician did, and he's actually pointing out, saying you need to replace these two things. See the leak? Oh, you can't see it that good, but it's leaking, you need it. And so it's going to be like $2,500. She was still going to get her car back, and in a month from now, she was going to be adding oil. It was going to have a message on the screen saying, visit workshop, add 1 quart of oil. And something that could be resolved with the actual repair, which is to replace the defective valve cover with an updated part number for the valve cover. You get the valve cover, you get the internal baffling, you get the PVC, it's a PVC system, you get a gasket, and you get new bolts. And so that's the way to do it. That's what we're going to do. That's my recommendation to her. It's going to end up being just a little bit over $1,000 to do that repair. So it's going to be about $1,500 less than what they were wanting to sell to her, which will, I mean, it's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but it is going to address the issue that she had, and it's going to be less money than what they were trying to get her to commit to. So buyer beware, I guess. Just always get a second opinion would be my advice. If you get a really high estimate on your car repair and you just feel something funny, then do what this customer did and come see me, and let's do a free second opinion. And we'll get her fixed up and down the road so she won't get wrapped around the axle. Until next time, don't get wrapped around the axle. What's it gonna be? I would love a number 5, no lettuce, no